So just again, thank you so much for meeting with us. It's truly a pleasure for both George and I to meet with you to talk about a topic that there isn't really a lot of information among everyone right now. So it's really important that we have a source that provides a lot of information for us. So thank you again.
I will give you all of my knowledge that you ask for, and I don't know a great deal of details within the school. I just know what I observe in many areas. Let me start off by saying that, I've become very proud of the Dreyfoos School ever since I was introduced to it. And the change in the name was not my idea. It was that of a person who was on the foundation board. And nor was I asked to make a monetary gift. Now, I might add that I had sold Channel 12 just a little previous to that time. So they may have put two together and said, well, maybe if we change the name of the school, maybe Mr. Dreyfoos will make a gift. But I want to assure you that they never asked, but they guessed right.
I think just one of the biggest things that we want to start this interview off by is talking about your background and how involved you were with both the arts and sciences growing up.
Right.
Yeah. How important do you believe that it's important for kids to have the same opportunities that you did to be involved in both the arts and the sciences at a young age?
I think there are some wonderful examples that show how important it is. And there's just an old saying that Einstein used to say, "A day without my violin was a wasted day." I can tell you a more personal story. As you may know, I was involved in getting Scripps to come to Florida.
Right.
And in fact, the president of Scripps at the time, I met him at the Kravis Center because I had come down from, I had been at my summer home, and he told me, as soon as he met me, he said, "Alex, the Kravis Center was the reason Scripps decided to come to Florida." Mm-hmm. But they think I gave them money for research.
Yeah.
I gave them money to bring talented people here who would have young, talented kids who would come to the Kravis Center and would come to the Dreyfoos School and so forth. So they can think the money was for research, but it's really to bring the scientists into the community. And that's worked well. And then, of course, as you know, Max Planck has followed them, and they invited me to join their board as well. And so, that's the kind of encouragement that I've been giving them.
So I guess one of the things that we were just wondering was, back then as well, what inspired you other than, of course, attracting the students to come here to fund the Palm Beach County School of the Arts and have that name change and all of that as well?
I just wanted to see the Dreyfoos School, truly show the relationship to the Kravis Center would be one thing. And you may know that the main hall at Kravis Center has my name.
Right.
Again, I had nothing to do with that. The board decided that on their own. So I really enjoyed being, what should I say, honored in many ways, none of which I specifically asked for. Just try to make everything work better, and those things happen.
Now transitioning more into recent years, when did the potential name change for our school first come into your mind?
Originally, Dr. Avosa was, superintendent of schools, and he was concerned. He thought it was a good idea personally, and in fact, even spoke at the Kravis Center in favor of it and some things. But he realized that he either needed to get it approved by the Board of Education, and he was a little skeptical of that because, the board was, he was having trouble with the board, let me put it that way. I don't get into school politics. So he thought that maybe the right way to do it would be to try to have the approval come from, and when I grew up it was called the PTA, but nowadays it's called, what is it?
The School Advisory Council. There's also a PTSA, but I think
Yeah,
They're just a
school
little
advisory
separate.
council. But the few people who were opposed really made it a point to try to persuade the student, that council, to turn it down. And after it was turned down, Dr. Avosa said, just give it a couple of more years and let's do it the proper way. And so that's why we're taking a second shot at it.
So what exactly would you believe to be the reason that the school advisory council didn't agree with the proposal back then?
To be frank with you, I had trouble understanding. There's some concern about we'd lose some of the arts kids who are not strong on science, things along that line. But as you know, my recommendation is not to change anything that's happening in school. The only way you should get in is with audition. I don't want to change any part of that. And that the subjects you're required to take should be the same ones that are required now. The only thing I'm looking for is for that 8th grade student getting ready to come to their next school to who happen to like technology and the arts, not have to say, I don't want to give up my interest in arts. So they shouldn't. All I'm doing is gilding the lily for you.
So have you heard of students who were interested in applying for the Dreyfoos School of the Arts, but actually weren't encouraged because they didn't see a science path for them here?
I don't know enough about the kids, I have to confess. My kids were, long gone. They, like me, I never tried to shove, music down their throat. I can't say that I have had the opportunity to talk to kids who are considering or not considering private school. All I know is the competition is tough. I get a lot of kids who do come up to me and say, I'm trying to get into Dreyfoos and I'm scared of this or difficulty. And of course, as we said about Connie, both of her daughters went there, so she knows of the difficulties of the audition.
Do you believe the audition process would change then?
I would hope it would not.
So it would stay the same, they wouldn't factor in science?
Oh, no, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. No, absolutely not. So much time has been spent over the years of drilling into people that happened and that happened. Certainly it's important to have a general feel for how the world evolved and worked. But when we've got Google, why do I have to remember the specific date of a specific thing and then be told you're wrong because you're off by a few years? You'd be perhaps surprised, when I was at MIT, almost all my exams were open book. But why not? When as soon as you're finished with school and you get a job, you've got a bookcase right behind you.
Right.
All you have to know is how to do it, not the specific information.
Yeah.
It's the understanding of things. And I think there's some of our education where we do it wrong.
Right. And one of the organizations that's working with education specifically in one of their aspects is the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, which you told the Muse in the past was one of your inspirations actually for the name change of our school. So could you tell us about some of your work that you do in there, or that you have?
I'm very proud to have been honored by that. To me, Benjamin Franklin is a great example of that. He delved into many subjects that nobody knew about. You know the famous kite experiment and so forth. Just that the Academy applauds a broad range of writers, of scientists, and people who work to make things happen. Been a great opportunity.
So one of the things that we've understood just a little bit recently is when I attended the SAC meeting, they talked about how there's a new policy in place where even if the school advisory council may not necessarily agree, that it would still go up to the school board. Do you know exactly which actor would have the final say in this scenario?
Absolutely no idea.
So do you believe that everyone would have to be in conjunction, or would it be like, would any actor have more influence than another?
I don't know enough about the insides of the work. I just would hope it would be, fair, and people would really look at it on a rational basis and not get caught up in emotions. Obviously, if we accept some science kids who are both good in science and the arts, and they should only be accepted if they're great in the arts. If you have a fixed number of kids that are coming into the school every year, then there are going to be some kids who aren't going to come in if we let science-interested people. But to me, we should be shooting for the best of the best. And if anything, if to solve those problems, if there's that much interest in the arts, as I hope there is, let's have a second school. I would hope that we would perhaps have somewhat lower standards so that the best of the best still comes to Dreyfoos. Or in other words, that if you didn't make it applying to Dreyfoos, that you could still end up at another school. Obviously, this is not an infinitely large campus, and there are going to be limits as to how many kids you can have.
So another, I wouldn't call it fear, but maybe concern that students who are interested in applying to Dreyfoos, because it's so art-centric, might actually be discouraged from applying by the name change. Do you think that's true?
Why would you not apply for the best of the best? I can't understand it. If you were to say that was true, well, a lot of people do a lot of strange things. But we've already built a school that has the reputation of being the best of the best. Certainly you'd give it a shot, right?
Right.
I would think.
So just like in the absence of information for a lot of the kids at our school, or even like the teachers or parents, not everyone is 100% sure on what's actually going to be going through. So like we've even heard when we've been researching, and the Muse as a whole has been researching, that some parents think that it's a done deal, and others think, oh yes, the name change is for sure going to be happening. Are there any misconceptions specifically that you would like to address regarding the name change?
I wish I knew whether it was going to happen. All I can do is make a suggestion and give you my arguments for it. I think I sent you, George, a lot of examples of Nobel Prize winners in the arts and so forth. I mean, if that's not an indication of the best, what is?
Yeah, so even when we were researching, Dreyfoos has been doing extremely well, both on the state level and the national level. We're one of the highest ranked schools in the nation as well as the state. So
exactly.
Is there something, a certain direction that you would like to see Dreyfoos go in, other than ranking as we go further in the next 5 years even, or 10?
Well, I think you can to some extent be very proud of the fact that Scripps decided to locate here and Box Blank decided to locate here. And, we've got great researchers who are vying to get their kids into Dreyfoos School. I don't know if you're familiar with that Max Planck has several community-based programs,
right.
Music
Scripps
and
does.
What's the name of the Max Planck program we go to some evenings?
Science meets music.
Science meets music. I mean, we've had several Dreyfoos School kids be the performers at these events. And last time there was a violinist from Dreyfoos School who played the Baruch violin sonata. And her father is a researcher, and he gave the talk. And I can't remember, is he a Nobel Prize winner? But anyhow, top scientist, and his daughter a top musician, and they entertained us.
So do you believe that there is like a strong correlation between being good at science and then also having that interest in the arts, or even
Yes,
vice versa?
very, very definitely. The fact that I rejected the way my mother tried to shove it down my throat, my guess is that it's the combination of the genes that, have led you to say that I've done well.
From a college admissions standpoint, do you think there would be any changes as to how they would perceive the school after the name change occurred?
No.
think this would probably be like one of the last few questions. In the next few years, if the name change occurs, are there any changes that you would like to see on the campus, or even just in general, like towards how the school gets funded or where the funding goes?
I will settle right now for let's just get the name changed. Don't do anything that would mess up, how the schools proceed. I think things that may be needed in the future, money always is a requirement. But at the same time, we have a big county, and we need the whole county to do well. So I don't want to, predetermine, suggest anything. I just like to hope that the school board is listening to all the things that are needed. But the main thing I advocate is let's have, amongst everything else we do, the best of the best.
Do we have any idea of if the funding goes through, where it would specifically go?
No, and I would not want to dictate it. Obviously it would be nice to see it stay here. I think that, do you know Stephen on?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's he was Teacher of the Year, right? He's doing a fabulous job. And, so I'm not worried about, would he like other things? Of course he would. Wouldn't every teacher like other things? But I have to think that that's what the school board is for, is to decide amongst all the needs throughout the county, just as the school foundation. Incidentally, when they gave me the name of the school, do you know that the first time that the committee asked the Board of Education to name the school, they said no?
Oh, really?
You know that? Why? We only name schools for dead people.
Yeah.
So I said, well, okay, I don't qualify for that, and I hope I don't qualify for a while. And then they changed their mind with a stipulation that I have nothing to do with the management. I'm not even allowed to be on the school foundation board. And that's fine. It's fine. Just do what you do well.
Is there a specific place that you would like to see the funding go?
I don't feel I'm close enough to know what's necessary. I know that some of the kids are playing on some fine instruments. I know they'd love to have even finer instruments.
Just maybe a final one for my own personal interest. Do you think science in society is becoming progressively more important? And what about arts? Is arts becoming more important as time goes by?
I think there's no question that science is becoming more important because the internet is making it more important. And we're certainly, you see evidence of what we can do that we couldn't do previously, which you have to say, it's only the result of science. Music goes back to the beginning of humanity. There's lots of evidence from cave drawings of people dancing and so forth. And cave paintings. So, there are the arts, both visual and musical arts, to the very first of people.
Thank you so much for meeting with us. I think we both
Pleasure.
really learned a lot.
Okay, let's get that name out.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.